Well, it's Monday. I guess I should say happy Monday. Welcome back. And if you liked today, you're going to love tomorrow, the day after that, and after that, it's not going to stop. This is not going away. It's not going to be resolved. There will be no healing. The country is virtually, irreparably broken into two fairly reasonably recognizable pieces. The constitutional republic wing and the Bolshevik communist wing. And that's the truth. Take it or leave it. There's so many headlines here. I just got another one. Wisconsin, wait, let me put it in here. Oh, this is it. Wisconsin election clerks now, people are blowing the whistle on this. There are a lot of Americans out there who were involved in this election who understand that unless we follow the rules and stand upon our tradition, our heritage, the words and the brilliance of our founding fathers and the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and etc., unless we follow that, we're done. Done. And they don't want to be done. When you mess with a ballot, especially in a major national election, you're playing with 5 years and up in prison. Seriously. And I don't think these people take that seriously. Seriously. It's weird why they would be involved. I mean, maybe some of you saw the video of the guy pulling like a radio flyer wagon, a child's wagon with little wooden sides, full of obviously bogus ballots at 3 or 4 in the morning into an election counting headquarters. There's so many now that you can't keep track of it all. It's just everywhere you look. All the swing states and many others. Corruption beyond measure. Corruption beyond measure. And the rest of the world is looking at us, and most of it is just laughing its ass off, and it should. Others realizing that the world's most potent power, shall we say, the former icon by which many other countries kept the dreams of their populations alive, has shot itself in both feet and in the head. We're done unless this can be sorted out in the courts and relatively quickly, although I do not think you're going to see anything until probably after, we'll call them the holidays, just to be festive. What the hell kind of holidays are these going to be? You know there is going to be no healing. This stupid idiot Biden campaign. Oh, we've got to focus on healing now. They know damn well they're not going to turn 70 million who voted for Donald Trump over to their side of the ledger. It's never in a million years. Not going to happen. What is going to happen in Washington, D.C. this Saturday, there's going to be a million MAGA march. Make America great again. God, how about Save America? Either way, millions of Trump supporters will probably end up assembling and marching from the Supreme Court building in Washington, D.C. to the White House this Saturday. You watch. I'll bet there's 1 million easy, and maybe 2. These people are not going to go away. They're not going to accept a communist coup d'etat. It's not going to happen. And again, if this were the reverse, I would be saying the same thing. If the conservatives, the Republicans, had pulled this crap off, we can't exist, we will not exist, we will not continue to be a viable entity on this planet unless we address this and, for God's sakes, hold the guilty accountable and put them in prison. They've got to be held accountable. Nobody is accountable for anything anymore. They're all victims. Oh, my boss made me do it. Oh, I had to do it or everyone would have laughed at me. It's really nuts out there. All right, first up tonight is Donald Jeffries back with us. He's extraordinary and as a great author, a great editor, and a superior analyst. Welcome back, Donald.
Hey, Jeff. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, it's been quite when we talked last week, obviously we were last Tuesday, I think I was on the air with you till 11 p.m. Eastern time. So at that time, you were reading off the vote totals and so forth. And
right.
Sure looked like Trump was going to sweep to victory because he was leading comfortably in all of his key states that he would later lose. I believe all.
You know what it looked like, Don? Yes, that's true. I looked at it like, all right, here's the election at this point. We know trends. We know our lifetimes have been watching elections like these. We know that when someone's ahead by a reasonable 4 or 5 percentage points and you got 75-80% of the vote in, things are going to stay pretty much the way they are. That's what happens.
Yeah.
Unless you have fraud.
Yeah, and it was we've never seen anything like this because the sea change that took place, basically after I got off on air with you, I sat up and watched it a while, and things didn't change a whole lot. And then, late, I was probably up to 2:30 in the morning, but a couple hours before that, I noticed that the totals weren't changing much, and it was still 70-80% of the vote in some of these states. But
they've stopped counting. As soon as I saw them stop counting, good.
And that's what everybody should be asking themselves. And of course, by the next day, we saw it had changed. And then you had things like Nevada saying, well, we're not going to count. We're going to resume counting Thursday. It's like, what? And then Pennsylvania, which is probably the worst of all, says something like, I think they took one of the days off they had to do administrative work. It's like, see, that was more important than counting. I mean, right. Nobody. So even if there was no fraud involved, which obviously I think is pretty obvious there was, the monumental incompetence of this, the Keystone Cops, the idea that we're a first world country and we scoff at banana republics. I would like to see. I would welcome people from Venezuela to come and oversee the election because we've got nothing on them with this election. I mean, this is shameful. Like I said, even if there were no fraud involved, it's shameful and embarrassing. But we know the fraud that's everywhere. And what is important, Jeff, is that we're not only a crucial juncture as to have an election be stolen, but more important than that is that I see now one of the most important things that Donald Trump did bring to the table. With all his disappointments and his big, ridiculous personality and dividing everything, he did move the template to where what our world, the conspiratorial world, is now more acceptable. This is the first time in my life where I'm turning on channels, and especially Fox News. Tucker Carlson was on fire tonight. Even Hannity, these people, at least those guys. The rest of Fox News is not. But the primetime lineup of Fox News is addressing these. Just imagine addressing what are essentially conspiracy theories that now probably, if 70 million people voted for Trump, at least 50 probably to 60 million believe that there was fraud, that he was cheated. So we've never had a so-called conspiracy theory that is believed by that many. And that
good point.
A television network is addressing it. Tucker Carlson was saying all the stuff we're saying. And Hannity, I was shocked, last night he was doing that, Laura Ingraham as well. So this is the first time you've ever seen. So they can't, other conspiracy theories, Fox News is not, certainly not going to talk about the JFK assassination, 9/11, no way. Not even, you saw what happened when Sean Hannity tried to do one little investigation on Seth Rich. Right. And, he almost lost his job and Seth Rich's family wanted to sue him. So, but that's because even though those are really important things as far as, to exposing the massive corruption and the tyranny that we're under, this is something that millions of people, everybody participates in the presidential, or, most people do in the presidential election or however many. So you have millions.
You can't ignore it. It's right in our face.
Right. You can't ignore it. So this is, but I don't think if it wasn't Donald Trump, for however contrived his personality is, he appears to still be fighting it. And his pretty little press secretary, Kayleigh McEnany was on, really coming full force today. And I don't know if you heard that. Neil Cavuto of Fox News just cut her off and said,
Fox is done. Fox is done. I think Don Jr. Will head up the long talked about alternate news network.
Yes.
That they're purporting to be working on. It'll be the Trump TNN. It could be MAGA TV. It could be anything. But we'll get. Yeah. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Bartiromo, Tucker, and Hannity leave and go over there. Not at all.
I was surprised to see that. I guess they couldn't talk about it, but the difference between like a Cavuto and Tucker Carlson is night and day. But I think, again, if Trump wasn't who he was, if Trump didn't allude, and now, of course, he never did anything about it. I go back to, when I talked to Roger Stone, when he talked to me about my book, Hidden History, and he told me, you're going to love Trump. He knows about all the conspiracies, and that's part of his personality that keeps people in the conspiratorial world interested, because he'll throw some red meat out there to you, where he lets you know, I'm aware of that. And of course he does nothing about it, and then he'll, do something different. But in this case, because it's personal to him, I guess, he appears to be fighting. Now, I was predicting until his press secretary today, because I keep thinking they're going to back off on it, because if Trump stays true to form, to what he has been for 4 years in office, he will disappoint his followers and just cuck out, and that'll be it. And could still happen, but because so many people now,
awful lot of momentum. If he did that, unless he could prove his life had been threatened, he wouldn't get away with that.
No, I don't. And so millions of people. And the important thing, Jeff, is that I wrote about this a while back, where I call it. To me, we say people are awake or asleep. I believe there's a collective narrative. I talk about the narrative, the JFK assassination, 9/11, whatever, individual things, but there's an underlying narrative. And it's basically, I think that's the difference, that the narrative that the mainstream media, especially Hollywood, is desperately trying to sell here is that Biden is president. Nothing, and this is what they do with everything. Nothing to see here, move along. There's no conspiracy, no fraud, nothing like that. And they're all getting involved. But the problem is, this isn't, isolated packet of people, 5% of the population or whatever. This is, almost half the country at least that believes this and knows that, and is mad because they think their vote is sacred. And, those of us like myself that have written about, electoral fraud going back to the Civil War, certainly that we know, and landslide Lyndon Johnson and so many more. And they George W. Bush appears to have forgotten. I mean, this guy, the new darling of the left, the left loves George W. Bush now, because as long as he badmouths Trump. But this clown comes out and basically talks about he shouldn't dispute anything. And this is a guy, people don't remember in 2000, that dragged on for 37 days. We're not even a week into this. 37 days over one state and hanging chads. This is monumental evidence everywhere in all these states, and it's been less than a week. But George W. Bush, who was only put into office by the Supreme Court, which may happen with Donald Trump, how does this guy get off on, even sounding off and, again, trying to jump into that collective narrative? The collective narrative, we have to come together. We have to come together. Let's heal and let's forget all this, because
that's all BS. No, we don't need to come together. We have our own opinions. We need to secede. That's what we need to do. If we don't like it and they don't like us, and we don't want to have to live with Bolshevik communists, we should have our own states, and that's the way it has to go.
Well, I'm said for a long time that if you expose the truth about any of these deep state crimes, and they're everywhere, whether it's a JFK assassination, 9/11, or even down to something like Seth Rich, which is more recent, anything like that, it will have a domino effect. If it's something like Seth Rich, the dominoes will go backwards. JFK, they go forward, because they're all connected to each other. And once people see the state of the decay and the corruption and the things and how many people were involved, and just imagine something like this. This can threaten. I mean, Donald Trump may inadvertently end up draining the swamp if somehow this is exposed, because there's so many people involved. All the election officials, the people in Detroit that were blocking people from looking, and the courageous woman who stepped forward and said she saw so many things that were wrong that night that she had to come forward. And these people are profiles in courage. And, the postal workers that talk about the things they've seen. And, of course, even the inadvertent people, like the idiot on Twitter that is bragging about how, he didn't validate any Trump ballots, and he and everybody else at the post office threw all the Trump ballots away. I mean, how is that not, I don't understand how that's not important, but from my background, the JFK assassination and everything else, how the corrupt deep state always reacts, and there are sycophants in the media, always reacts, there's no evidence, and that's the litany here, there's no evidence, because I don't know what they want, but I know from the JFK assassination and on, they always smear witnesses who say, I saw this, I saw that. Oh, it's just a witness. Well, what else?
Just a witness.
Just a witness.
Just a witness.
Right. No. And whether it's the JFK assassination or this electoral process, the official, the so-called evidence, the only thing we have are witnesses that can point out, because we don't have control over everything else. And most of the time, when you go looking for it, it's been destroyed or lost or, misrepresented. So you have to rely on that witness testimony. And what we're seeing is a very constant refrain here of people saw things that were wrong. They're coming forward. So but the problem is, who's going to investigate this? Because there's nothing. This will bring down on them the wrath of whatever wrath there is out there among the people. But it will expose the emperor wearing no clothes, because the electoral process is.
Go ahead, finish.
Go ahead. No, I mean, the electoral process has been corrupt for so long, and for whatever reason.
Right.
In 2000 and 2004, people don't talk about 2004. A lot of the same stuff happened there. Bush lost the popular vote then as well. Kerry just didn't protest as much. But
Kerry ran out of town practically. He didn't do anything. He just rolled.
Right, but Gore, Kerry, these are not good people. It's not like the country would have been better if they were elected. But the process is so corrupt, and once you expose that, then you begin to answer other questions. Okay, what happened to Ron Paul in the 2012 primaries? Going back to 1996, what happened to Pat Buchanan in New Hampshire?
Yeah, and go to Ross Perot. Sure.
Yeah, Ross Perot. What happened to Ross Perot? He was leading the polls. Why did he mysteriously drop out? And then when he came back, he still got 19%, but he would have won.
They threatened his family. That's why.
Right. So, sure.
Look, here, what we have here is something that is so big and has finally boiled over, the corruption, that many Americans will never take this kind of a national election seriously again. And I don't blame them at all. They shouldn't. I believe that the process is broken. I believe it needs to be replaced. I cannot tell you with what. I know what I've been told is coming. We're going to see no more elections like this, no more voting machines. And we're not going to see paper ballots, not individual ballots like we'd like. They're going to give us absolute security by way of a national ID. They used to call it the 2020 ID. Your secure identification card. No invaders to this country can hijack your card. They can't use your name. Nobody can do that anymore. And they'll take that card as absolute security, and then they'll present online voting. But before you laugh, they're going to present online voting with the blockchain. Now, the blockchain is supposed to be inviolate. It's supposed to be absolutely secure. Now, we all know that there's some way to always figure out how to get in, and then they've got ways. But this is going to be, if it happens, an easy sell to the public. All they have to do is be told over and over again that your vote will be secured to your national ID card. No one can hijack it. No ballots can be wheeled in by the thousands at 3 a.m, and we'll know immediately what happens. They're going to do it sooner or later. I've been saying this for 15 years. So you're going to see online voting. I don't think that this current catastrophe can be repaired or rehabilitated. I think it's over. I think everybody knows it, and I think something else is on the way, and soon. That's my view.
Well, I don't know what could replace it, but I think that if somehow the corruption and what happened here can be exposed, I think it will go a long way to at least opening people's eyes a little bit, and then maybe starting to look at some of these other, because then the conspiracy theories.
They're open.
Yeah, well, it is. And just having, I'm very amazed that Hannity and Tucker Carlson, these are, because they are, they're airing the exact same things we're talking about. So as long as they keep, because I was afraid that they would, just drop it and just say, he needs to. Well,
like Tucker dropped the Hunter Biden thing. He says, we're not going to do that here. I used to know Hunter Biden, my neighbor, blah, blah, blah. That's not journalism. And then right away people, I think it was Fox, officially said, these aren't journalists, they're entertainers. You have to remember that. They don't have to adhere to strict journalistic procedures and principles. They were trying to explain away Tucker's rather shocking dropping of the Hunter Biden catastrophe scandal, black as it could be. We're not covering it anymore. Not here. I used to know him. I was his neighbor. His wife was great. Blah blah blah. So I'm not doing it anymore. Well, maybe that's really how he feels. Maybe he was told to feel that way. We don't really know, and we'll never really know the truth. Here, Megyn Kelly. She's not going away. Don't think that. She may very well come back to be the prime anchor with Trump's new, we'll call it Fox 2.0, just for fun. She'll be in it. Sean Hannity, Tucker, Baratromo, you watch. They're going to all jump, the good ones. This Cavuto is going, he's done. He cut her off, huh? Wow.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I just, how you can, the idea that, it's not your job as a journalist to verify you could investigate it, but if someone's just speaking, you don't cut her off because, who have you been told it wasn't true by? The intelligence agencies? The people that run you, of course.
He's always been a lightweight. He's a nothing. And so he's just doing probably what he's told. Hang on a minute. We have to take a break. We'll come right back with Don in just a minute. Okay, many of you probably saw or will see the Neil Cavuto really outrageous, unprofessional behavior. But look how these other companies, broadcast media companies, MSNBC, get this. Fox News cuts away from Kayleigh McEnany baseless claims of voter fraud. So says MSNBC. Now, has MSNBC conducted somehow a speed of light, in-depth investigation to find out if all these dozens of charges of felony voter fraud are baseless? I don't think so. So here you see the MSM again making news. They're making the news. Let's see. Oh, here's another one. Who's this from? This is from an individual. Neil Cavuto cuts away from Trump Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany after election lies on Fox News. Yeah, I'm not kidding. Let's see, who's this? U-News. Fox News host Neil Cavuto cuts off McEnany's press conference. All right, fair enough. That's a fact. It's just a fact. Who, what, where, when, why, how. Fox News. Oh, this is from Game World. These are the top stories now in the world on YouTube. Fox News host Neil Cavuto cuts off McEnany's press conference after she says to count illegal votes. Well, she never said that. She's talking about the counting of illegal and bogus votes is wrong and shouldn't be done. So this guy couldn't get his headline right. Another person had no clue how to pronounce Kayleigh's name. He couldn't say McEnany. Had no idea. And yet he's pontificating about this. Let me see what else we got here. See, these are all Biden-type shills out. Here, let me see if this is a real soundbite. I'm going to hear this. I don't know if it's... Let's see if it's...
Pretty Diva 15 millimeters wide jaw, opening oversized stainless steel toenail clipper cutter trimmer with nail file.
No extra
for
charge
nails.
for the
extra large
toenail clipper ad there. Let's see if this is an actual soundbite.
Fox Fox News cuts off Kayleigh McEnany, refuses to air her claim.
See?
White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany was in the midst of giving a briefing for the Brady press brief.
This is not a soundbite. This moron, this imbecile, should not even be allowed on the internet. He doesn't know how to pronounce the name of someone he is defaming. Weird. I want to see this. Let's see. Maybe I'll try one more here. I don't want to see toenail clippers. Let's see. U News.
Fox News cuts off Kayleigh.
It's the second guy. Same guy. Damn it. I'll find it here. Fox News cuts off Daisy. All right, this is Raw Story. Let's see if they've got the soundbite. Well, here's one. This is actually Fox News. Oh no, this is old. This is too old.
Something fake news. I would assume if the news being reported is fake or...
Goodbye, Neil. Okay, last try here. All they have is they're just doing voiceover still shots. This is the Daily News.
Fox News cut away from Trump's press secretary. The Fox News anchor Neil Cavuto on Monday cut away from a press briefing featuring Kayleigh McEnany, who is both the White House press secretary.
It's a different guy. He couldn't do it either.
As she continued to push the campaign's baseless claims of election fraud.
See?
She's charging
Baseless
the other
claims.
side as welcoming fraud and illegal voting.
Yeah.
Unless she has more details to back that up.
See, all right, let me back that up. This is a good lesson. This is what is being passed along to the masses as journalism. Okay? Journalists are not supposed to take a general position. Now, this program is a little different because I, as the program host, am a quasi-entertainer. That's the nature of this business. But the news business, if I were a professional journalist hired by a big corporation, I wouldn't do it like this. But this is my program. I can do what I want. All right, here.
She continued to push the campaign's baseless claims of election fraud.
Baseless claims.
She's charging the other side as welcoming fraud and illegal voting. Unless she has more details to back that up, I can't in good countenance continue to show you this, Cavuto said as he cut off the press conference, pushing back on what he described as explosive charges from McEnany. Not so fast, Cavuto added. McEnany suggested, without evidence, that Democrats welcomed fraud and illegal voting in the 2020 election. We want every illegal vote to be counted.
All right, that's enough. Disgusting. I'll catch it later. Anyway, Cavuto is obviously a pile of excrement. You just don't handle yourself like that. You don't do that to someone who has made time to come on your program. You extend courtesy. You act like a professional. You don't pull this kind of garbage. Anyway, okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, but what we're saying, is that again, this is and that's why something like this would is what has been necessary, and what people like us have been fighting for a long time. Whether it's the JFK assassination, 9/11, the big ones, or any number of smaller issues, Oklahoma City, just pick and choose, Waco, any of them. The people, the entire mainstream media, including Fox News up till this point, defends those narratives. Because they looked at even Tucker Carlson, whoever won, they don't like conspiracy theories. Even Ron Paul doesn't. They don't look that way. So, but this is in our world because we're alleging a huge fraud. And so for them they can't acknowledge it. So of course they have to use the same tactics they use for all those other issues. Baseless claims. I wish I had $1 for every time. So there's no new evidence of the JFK assassination. Well, as Mark Lane used to say, there's nothing wrong with the old evidence that proves Lee Harvey Oswald didn't do it, whatever else it proved. But that's always their tactic. And, and no matter what you show them, I've posted videos on Facebook that the fact checkers instantly claim are wrong. They're videos. There's one video I posted of a woman, in a polling place that was marking 6 ballots. You're not supposed to mark any ballots. And they claimed it was taken out of context. What context could there be?
There is none. It's a joke. Bad joke. The joke's on us. That, like I say, I really think, honestly, this system will not function anymore and will be somehow overhauled in a major fashion. I believe that.
I hope so.
I think here I found I found a little of this clip. I've at least found you can hear Kayleigh for about 3 seconds, and then you'll hear Cavuto interrupting. Now, she is standing in the White House, whatever room they're using for the press conference. She is delivering a nationwide press conference address to the assembled media. Cavuto is airing this simultaneously with its actual occurrence, and he decides he doesn't like what she's saying, so he cuts her off. Now, this is only 33 seconds. Let's see if we can make some sense out of it, but this is a good one. Sorry about those other ones, but man, there are a lot of pretenders out there trying to be journalists, and this is where we're headed. All right, here we go.
Votes. Whoa. I just think we have to be very clear. She's charging, the other side is welcoming fraud and welcoming illegal voting. Unless she has more details to back that up, I can't in good countenance continue showing you this. I want to make sure that maybe they do have something to back that up. But that's an explosive charge to make, that the other side is effectively rigging and cheating. If she does bring proof of that, of course, we'll take you back. So far, she has started saying right at the outset, welcoming fraud, welcoming illegal voting. Not so fast. A little more after this.
What a jackass.
Shoo. Some might call those explosive charges news, Neil. It's
unbelievable.
Aren't you on Fox News? I mean,
yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, but this is why, so we're basically, and I used to talk about this in terms of anything, of the narrative, that's the collective narrative. And I used to say, like, if you turn on these morning shows, the Today Show, and these, and you think Katie Couric, I think she set the template for them. Hey guys, the bubbly, airheaded ex-cheerleader that is
right.
painting a picture of an America that exists for people like her, where everything's wonderful, as far as financially being secure, and they have the best of everything financially and all that. Everybody has their problems, but for the mass of people, it doesn't apply to them. The 80% living paycheck to paycheck, and who are struggling, financially, may lose their jobs and so forth. Mm-hmm. And they know that, but they're painting a picture and I think it's to satisfy them, that they don't want to take the mask off and say, yeah, this is what we are, we're totally corrupt. And so now they're painting the picture of your vote counts, rock the vote, although, everybody that's saying that, whether it's MTV or whatever, you know who they want you to vote for. I mean, not that the Republicans are any good, but they all want you to vote for the Democrat. That's the message. Sure. Okay, so go ahead and vote. Just make sure you vote for that one party, Okay, we'll give you two parties. Okay. Who agree on most things. And again, until Trump came along, because Trump's rhetoric is different. He doesn't really act differently, but his rhetoric's different. So it's that fear, I think, that among the people that believe that narrative, not so much the people that are controlling Trump, but the people that believe that narrative, they're upset at him bringing these things. And now look what he's doing. Now he's bringing this electoral fraud up. He's protesting this. Oh, my God, what a big baby. Even though, again, they themselves spent 4 years saying, not my president, screaming in the streets and blaming Russia. Donald Trump Jr. had a great tweet today where he said, it's funny, the same people that said Russia fixed our last elections now say it's impossible to fix our elections. And,
Donald Trump Jr. is not a dummy. The guy's pretty smart. He handles himself very well.
I wish his dad put him in the White House instead of the princess. You get the wrong kid in the White House there. Donald Trump Jr. next to you, you might have your Bobby Kennedy there, where might try to,
that's a good point.
Yeah, keep you straight. But so we're looking at two different worlds here, and basically what you're seeing, and it's kind of a dream for people like us who spent years talking about alternative things and alternative news and looking at things in a different way that is where we're shut out from the mainstream. Now you have Fox News, at least. Some of the people on there are bringing this up and taking it seriously and showing you things that they never show you, and it's all because the President of the United States, for the first time ever, and it may just be because it applies to him personally, he doesn't want to lose, but whatever, if it serves a great purpose, because they can't, this is the reason why you never saw network specials about the JFK assassination or 9/11 or whatever. It can't survive scrutiny. If they even allude to any of the facts about any of these cases that show you the corruption, and millions of people can watch it, not just, podcasts and radio shows like the ones we can, have access to, or blogs or things like that. If millions of people have, then it's going to open more eyes, and they're going to say, wait a minute. That actually is evidence. That did look like, a huge barrel of ballots arriving in the middle of the night from somewhere. That kind of thing. If you see that, then it threatens everything else. It threatens to go beyond that, because then if people can believe that, well, wait a minute, if they can do that, then maybe the next thing that goes into place, okay, why was this election the way it was? Because of this ridiculous lockdown. So they could give you the lie, well, we need so many more mail-in ballots because of COVID. Well, if they start showing you alternative facts, again, the kind of stuff that I post and write about all the time, if those were on Fox News or anywhere, they talked about, they stressed the CDC saying, the 200 and some thousand deaths, only 94% of them for something else. If they did that, instead of having people screaming, oh my God, Trump's responsible for killing 200 and some, which they do. They believe that. Right. If you had something to counter that millions of people saw, it sooner or later, it's just the reason why the many more millions who are asleep, why they believe what they believe, is because they're absorbing the narrative in everything they consume, whether it's a movie they watch, a television show they watch, if they watch a news broadcast, books they read, most books they read, to the extent that they read that anymore, the conventional websites, they're all pushing that same narrative. And that narrative, Jeff, is that there's no such thing as conspiracies unless they want to promote something like, Russia. But for the most part, there are definitely no conspiracies. And our leaders are basically above board. Most people are good. What's the thing they used to say in the professional sports where the announcers would, to try to excuse a lot of bad calls, say, well, I found the vast majority of the time the officials get it right. That kind of thing, where that's what they're preaching to us about everything. The vast majority of the time, these are good people. Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Mitch McConnell, the reason they keep getting elected is because they're such great statesmen. That's, without saying it, that's what they're pressing on you. So people absorb that narrative. So when people hear, well, wait a minute, maybe they're having sex with little kids and all these kinds of things. Oh my, yeah, sure. They can't, because they've absorbed it for decades, from the time they were children, from watching Walter Cronkite, without knowing Walter Cronkite was the voice of the owl at Bohemian Grove for decades. And they're called ceremonies.
I didn't know that.
Yes, Uncle Walter was the voice of the owl there. And
how really creepy is that?
Isn't it? Yeah, wouldn't you look at him a little bit differently? He does play the owl.
Just a little?
Yeah, and then show the cremation of care, which, again, Bohemian Grove doesn't exist. Well, Alex Jones stuck inside there, and probably the most valuable thing he ever did, and filmed the cremation of care. But even with that, and showed the giant owl. So, but again, just imagine if Fox News showed that. And Alex Jones, or something like that. If Tucker Carlson showed that what we're going to show you is that's the kind of stuff that can make people go, wow. But because it's validation, they need to have it validated by a source that they think is big enough. If we're saying the exact same thing, they don't pay attention to it. But if it gets, Sean Hannity or whatever starts saying it,
yeah,
okay, at least millions. Some people that hate them won't, but because there is no one source that could say it, because the country's divided. But so this really has the. But I don't think it's going to happen, because I know how powerful these people are, and they never lose. And so for them to, and they're in such denial. They're just pretending none of this is going on. That's why it's hilarious to see that Tucker Carlson and these people, it's going out to millions of people. They're seeing these things. So and you're talking about the Million MAGA March, we'll see what happens there. But if you get a million or two at Fox News covers it, because CNN, they won't cover it. It'll be just like Kayleigh McEnany. They'll just,
it won't. It'll just go right down the toilet. They won't even get. Yeah. You'll never see it.
Yeah, nope. They're trying to pretend none of this is happening, and I think that's okay. Let me just say something real quick about that, or quickly about that. This will be
a gigantic lesson for all who may still be sitting on the fence about the general worth and value of the mainstream media in this country. You need to watch carefully what is covered and what is hidden, censored. And what Donald just said is correct. This rally, Saturday, even if they have 2 million people, they'll downsize it and say, well, God, maybe 450,000 showed up today. They'll lie. The mainstream media is the biggest betrayer, overt and obvious betrayer that I can point to in this country right now. It's that bad. It's grim.
It is. It is, and I've somebody a long time ago, when they were reviewing Hidden History, they said if there's a subtext to the book, it's that the mainstream media can't be trusted. And basically everything I write, I mean, if the historians did the work they were supposed to do and told you the truth, and if professional reporters did, then there wouldn't be, I couldn't write this stuff, or there wouldn't be any point to it because I already know that, right. But they don't do their job. So it will be interesting to see, because if I don't know, I don't have a lot of faith in people, because I know for myself, people have said to me many times, why don't you go out and do something? Well, first of all, I know, having stuck my neck out on the job for years, just even in meetings. Well,
you're doing more than 99.999% of the people you know or will ever know. So forget that.
I try to tell them I do what I can, as far as I am putting myself out there, talking and writing. But as far as going out, I would be happy. I'd go lead a march. But the problem is, I know, just from whether it's a work meeting or anything else, most people are followers and they're scared. So if something as bad is going on at the job, something as small as that, and I was always the guy that would speak up. I was a rabble rouser, surprisingly enough. So, I would speak up, and I maybe talked to 4 or 5 guys. Yeah, me too. And they agree with me. Then I speak up and I look around. they're looking down at the floor. Crickets. I mean, it happened over and over again. It disillusioned me. And that's the way people are.
Well, you should be. You have every right to be, because the rank and file are really not much more than what Henry Kissinger described them as years ago. Useless eaters.
Yeah.
They don't think. They simply stare. They react. They memorize a few buzzwords and cliches they get to supposedly back up their political bias. It's bad. The rank and file Americans, I think, are generally good people. They want the chance to have reality presented to them, but they don't get it. So they don't know. And you can't really criticize them if they watch the mainstream media and truly believe that they're being informed. It's sad. I don't give them a lot of grief for that. It's not their fault. They really are victims. So
no, they are.
There you go.
But that is why, for instance, then, that I would always be reluctant to go to some of these rallies, because I know just from history that there's going to be 15 to 20 people there. I mean, there's just not going to be, unless I know thousands of people are going to be there, then I'll be there. But I'm not going to put myself in, maybe potential to get arrested, shot, tased, or whatever. And it won't be a Martin Luther King type arrest where it'll be a cause celeb, or there'll be enough people involved where, it'll be a big moment. It won't even be reported by the mainstream media.
No, it won't. We will see, in all likelihood, this Saturday, at least 1 million people. Unprecedented in American history. The first time Americans have gotten up and really, they go to the rallies and they present that way. But this is going to be really unprecedented. And it will show the schism, the fracture in this culture and society that I do not believe is going to heal in our generation, our lifetimes at all. I don't think it ever will, because the next generation coming up is going to be a GMO cyborg type anyway. They won't have any brain. History is being removed from the world by Google. It's literally taking history and flushing it down the toilet as well, and it's not there. Look, here, quickly. Megyn Kelly is going to be, if Trump does his media Fox alternative, which I hope his family or somebody in his organization does, she'll be in there. She said, forget Biden's unity. Trump supporters will not hug those who have viciously attacked them. Megyn Kelly. She's right. And nor should they. These times now are too intense, too divergent, and we're facing an enemy better known as Zionist Bolshevik communism, which is clearly trying to take this country down. And as hypocritical as that is, and they are, get this, last night in Portland, Antifa, the communists, and their allies went after the Democrat political building in downtown Portland and painted on it things like "No presidents," as in ever, all right? Blank Biden, which, okay, it's okay with me, whatever they want to write. But who's going to pay for it? It's just more damage. Point is, their agenda is clear, Donald. They want no presidents, they want no government, except a strong man and a dictatorship. That's what they want.
Well,
they don't want elections.
No, well, they've already eliminated the middle class hardly, so they want a third world. And we're being, obviously, by our anybody who looked at this electoral process, whatever else you think of it, it was absolutely not first world. Most people don't know, for instance, in Europe, no mail-in ballots are allowed, and you have to have a photo ID. That's the way first
Europe
world
is just
countries
shaking
do it.
its head. Well, they're going to have a national ID, as I said earlier. I believe that. They're going to have a national ID here. That'll be step one. Then they're going to present online voting with the blockchain. I don't see any other way. How are they going to do it? They're not going to go through this again. No one will put up with it. It's done.